Welcome back to the show. My name is Robert Eisenstadt. I am your host. Today we have an absolute killer in business, killer in life, killer as a father. Hopefully you don't mind the word killer. You're just, dude, you're an absolute beast. A lot of people look up to you, especially in the role model world of a father. I think you do an amazing job. Typically I would introduce you, but you got so many things going on. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. So if you can give us a 60-second bio about yourself, that would be awesome.
Yeah, my name's Josh. I'm a hopeless romantic, a Scorpio. I enjoy long walks on the beach. No, basically, my wife is here sitting in the corner, and we were bankrupt in a trailer park when we first got married. Built and sold 4 different companies in 3 different industries. You know, we have 5 kids. We're expert kid makers, if you need a tip. But really, you know, entrepreneurship, this idea of family, and like, how do you not burn this down while trying to crush it with this? And we love that, right? So business, entrepreneurship, success, sales, and marketing, and scaling, but also the family stuff is what we nerd out about.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, I could tell you you're a role model to a lot of people, especially in the service industry. You know what I mean?
No pressure.
Yeah.
We almost got divorced 7 years into our marriage. We've been married 21 years now. Something about that 7-year mark, by the way. I don't know. It's like a thing, but
shit, that's coming up for me.
It was really bad. But at the same time that was happening, our first kind of real business was like working really well. And it was confusing to me. I'm like, okay, so this is completely falling apart. This is starting to crush it. Like, I'd figured some stuff out. We didn't intend to talk about family anything. It's not like an angle. We don't have like a course to sell you about families or something. But right. I just noticed a lot of people I looked up to in business had a disaster of a personal life. You know, and one of the quotes I like is, don't take advices from someone you wouldn't trade places with. But you got to do it in categories, right? Because you can learn like sales advice from that sales guy, but he might be like a train wreck in his personal life. But you take what you can get about the sales stuff, right? But like, how do you find that person that's making money but building this great family culture? Well, I didn't know how. So we started kind of repairing our own thing. You know, one of the rules on the internet is you don't share your wounds, you share your scars. So we didn't talk about any of those problems when they were happening. But years later, like, we completely pivoted our whole family culture in a huge way through what we call family systems. And it's funny because the reason your family can have a culture and a manifesto and a birthright, and you can give identity to your children and like empower them, all the things that you would do with a company to make it successful, the same things apply to your family. I mean, a business is just an organization with people and systems, and so is a family. So years later, we started talking more about it. It resonates with some people. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially men, falsely believe that once they attain some financial level, that somehow their wife, who's been flapping in the wind for the last 7 years, will like be like, "Oh, wow, thank you so much," right?
Yeah, dude.
And it just doesn't work that way.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like this mythical $1 million or whatever is something that it isn't.
Yeah.
And so we learned that the hard way. We do talk about it now. We think it's very important.
I heard a saying before, you're best suited to help an older version of yourself.
Yes.
You know?
Totally agree.
So I think it's amazing but did you have a struggle talking about those things in the beginning? Because I mean, again, there's a lot of vulnerability there, right? Like, I mean,
well, we didn't talk about it in the beginning. Right?
Well, but I'm saying like when you started talking about it, right? Like,
no, I was excited to talk about it. I mean, so I had a service company, built and sold that to small private equity, moved to Costa Rica for a couple of years, started a software business called Send Gym. That almost bankrupted us, what would have been for the second time in our life. I mean, I got too big for my britches, thought I was smart. I wasn't. Very different business model, massive pain and suffering. So that got fixed. That business is doing great now. And then kind of right after that, when that business started doing good, I started coaching people. We started a mastermind group for service companies called Conquer. And Conquer's been sold off now. It's a pretty big organization. But in the beginning, I was excited to talk about family system stuff because everything I could see on the internet was like, make more money, make more money, make more money. I'm like, well, hold on a second. Would someone really want to have $1 million in a divorce? Or would you rather have $675,000 in a thriving, insanely passionate marriage and kids that respect you, right? Everyone's picking the second one, unless you're just a maniac. But no one talked about it, you know? So we were excited. Our heart breaks for local business owners, the little guy that wants both, wants to have their cake and eat it too. We know that's not for everybody, but that's who we were. It's us helping us 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So we're passionate about it. We're open book about it. And
So then let me ask you a question, because one of my mentors, it's funny because I've literally asked, to be honest with you, I lost my last relationship because of the business. I was, when I first started out my business, I couldn't afford rent. I was working 20 hours a day. I wasn't around for the first probably 6 months that my daughter was alive. Mm-hmm. So I'm resonating with everything that you're saying. And I had asked my mentor, I said, hey, how do you balance your life and, business so well? Because he's a motivational speaker, big guy, traveling around all the time like you, Mm-hmm. And he said there's no such thing as a work-life balance.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
The metaphor that he gave me, he was like, look at a clock. And if you're looking at a clock, let's say your family is 10 and your business is 2, okay? Uh-huh. He said sometimes you're going to have to spend more time on 2. Sometimes you're going to have to spend more time on 10. It's all about having the realization of when you're spending the most time. If you're spending too much time on 2, okay, it's time to dial it back and go to 10 and take a week or 2 off work. So is that like your kind of model? Do you, because you work a lot, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, sometimes.
But it's not always work too, because you're enjoying doing it and you're incorporating your family into what you're doing. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. But do you ever have that feeling like it's like, man, I'm spending way too much time at my 2 o'clock. I need to dial way back to 10.
Yes. And I'll frame this in a certain way. So like whenever you ask any question to anybody that you view as a mentor or someone ahead of you, the answer they should give you is it depends. This is the most underutilized answer ever. Whenever you ask for advice from someone and they just give you an answer, be very careful, because there is no one size fits all. It's an illusion. It's just a heuristic in our brain. Like we want it to be true that this is the 3 steps to success. No, it depends. It depends on your personality type, your spouse, what the history is, what your risk tolerance is, all these things, right? So it does depend. Now, I do not believe in balance either. Balance to me means definitionally, like the word balance means mediocrity in every category. That's what it means to me. Balance means you're sort of okay as a dad financially. You're sort of okay at your knowledge of world history. You're sort of okay with your physical fitness. You're sort of okay with every category. There's hundreds of categories, right? How can you be world class at all the things? You can't. I don't know who said it, but you can have anything you want, but not everything you want. The key is having intentional imbalance all the time. So we have bursts. My wife calls it, what do you call it, babe? You can just yell it out. Hustle and grind season and rest and restore season. So there's seasons, just like with the planet, there's seasons. That's how business should be. I think what happens, and the reason we get so out of whack, is that entrepreneurs tend to live in the future. I mean, right? You can see where you're going in like 4K. Absolutely. It's 3-dimensional. You can smell it and taste it and see it. But the people around you can't most of the time. So the whole key to kind of correcting this is to bring back that future to your family. It's like bring them into it. Celebrate tiny wins. Are we really going to only celebrate the $1 million, the $10 million goal? Or are we going to have a pizza party because we hired our first executive on our team? Are we going to actually bring the kids into the story? So casting vision on where you're going, bringing it back so everyone understands we're in a hustle and grind season right now, and then pre-scheduling that rest and restore season. I meet so many people that have promised honeymoons and vacations for 15 years to their spouse. It's nonsense. I worked with a guy one time, his wife wanted an on-demand hot water heater, and he paid me a lot of money to talk to me. And he wasn't buying her this thing. And he's like, I can't do it right now. I can't do it right now. And I told him, I'm never going to talk to you again until you do that. Because I don't care about the hot water heater. But to me, like the integrity of a man that can't take care of business at home is low level.
Yep.
I don't even want to help you make a lot of money because you're just a terrible person, So he got the hot water heater installed. But we constantly neglect what's most important, chasing something that we're pretty sure will be important, only to find out it wasn't that important.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be laying on your deathbed with a bank account completely full and nobody around you.
No, 10 out of 10 people die. Did you know that?
No way. That's the only thing.
It's my favorite stat. And a quote to go with that is that a wise man thinks of death often. And so like, if you're really smart, you're going to look at this wake of people that have made every single person the same mistake over and over and over, and you'll learn from it. I mean, duh. Right?
Yeah.
You can have your cake and eat it too. And at the end of the day, like, who are you trying to impress anyway? Nobody cares. The people on the internet don't care. It's like you're performing for an audience of like one. If you're a believer, like we love Jesus, you're performing for God, right? And your purpose and mission and mandate on earth. The next person is your spouse. You're a team. You're a wrecking ball. So like that's who you're impressing. No one else even cares.
You know, it's kind of funny because like perception is a crazy thing, you know, just in general, like the way that we perceive information. And for like, it's just an example, me sitting in this room is such a different experience that it is for you. Right. And so one of the things that I've really worked on is understanding communication and the way like my wife perceives information. Yeah. And like, let me touch on that a little bit. Let's say I have like a super crappy day at work, or in general, I'm just going through a tough time and I come home and I'm frustrated about something, right? Yeah. I come home and I'm in a bad mood, whatever. I might have an attitude about something so small in the house. Something's like I misplaced a tape measure or whatever it is. And I'm like, man, where's my tape measure? I freak out. Right. My wife only knows how to handle me as far as me being frustrated about a tape measure rather than the open communication about everything that's actually going on. Right. So being able to portray the information of like what's actually going on in your life versus the small details that are either being given or being left out. Does that make sense? Yeah,
I'm picking up what you're throwing down.
So like, I think communication is a massive issue inside of like entrepreneurs' relationships.
Inside the world. There's a book called I Said This, You Heard That.
I said this, you heard that.
Yeah. Like I've never read the book, but the title says it all. Like, let's break it down for a second. Like you say, where the heck is my freaking tape measure?
Right.
What she hears is, you know, like, I'm frustrated at you. Our household is in disorder. I'm irritated with your performance as a person. She hears lots of things that you didn't say.
Right.
There's what you meant and there's what they heard, right? Communication is a huge topic, but the problem with using a word like communication is that people think they already know what communication is. People think that it matters what they meant, but what matters more is what the person thinks that you meant. And this is true in sales and marketing. We have a saying that everything is marketing. And what that means to us is that marketing is everything and everything is marketing. Parenting is marketing. You see, everything in life is choreographed communication. And not to get too weird, but the way you frame things, the order in which you reveal things, the setting and the tone and the nonverbal signals and everything that's happening, there's so much communication happening people aren't aware of. They just think, well, what I meant was I had a bad day at work and I just was frustrated. No, I still totally love you. But if you're going to be really smart about it, you got to realize everything is an advanced, sophisticated form of communication. If you want to raise your kids and transfer your beliefs, values, and principles into them, right?
Yes.
There's different ways to try to do that. So you can tell them what to think or you can teach them how to think. What's the difference between convincing and persuading, for example? Like, it's a big topic, right? But I think communication as a category is a superpower if you learn how to get good at it.
What are some of the things that what's some advice that you would give to teach your children how to think versus what to think? Like, how do you run that in your life? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, lots of ways.
Letting them fall off the wall, you know?
Yeah, well, it depends. No, just see what I did there? I'm just kidding. I think...
I'm asking you in general. You know what I mean?
Lots of things. So off the top of my head, I spend time with my kids. I don't spend large quantities of time with my kids, but I spend very intentional, dense time with my kids.
Right.
Smartest family system I ever did was when our oldest, who's turning 17 on Friday of this week, actually, when he was 3, I started doing Maverick Monday. Then we had another kid. We have 5 kids. So we have Maverick Monday, Tucker Tuesday, Judah May Thursday, Finley Friday, and Sawyer Sunday. Like, we can't have any more kids. I have no more time, right? And it's not perfect. I don't do it every week, but that was the smartest single thing I ever did, was having intentional, concentrated time with them. So if you're laying on your belly playing Legos, that's powerful. But then what are you doing during the Lego time? So I think asking kids existential questions when they're really young is powerful because we underestimate kids. For example, did you know the word teenager is only about 100 years old?
No.
It's a modern construct. I mean, we have 32-year-olds that eat Hot Pockets in their mom's basement, like in our society right now. That's not a thing. Like in 1812, when you were 12 years old, Dad gave you the rifle when he went to town for 2 weeks and you took care of business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we overly put adult concerns on kids. What I'm saying is that they're capable of having deep conversations, right? You can have them, we have our kids debate each other for fun, for example. And so we're a pro-life family, right? So we believe in the right to life. Well, a lot of people don't. So I'll take my kids and I'll make them argue on behalf of pro-choice. And they'll debate each other because it's important that they understand the opposing argument. I want my kids to understand why they believe what they believe. I don't just want to indoctrinate them with what I want them to believe, because in the long run, it's better for them. There's so many systems that we do. We have the Latimer of the month. We have a family birthright that we made. And we didn't make this to then say it on a podcast. This was like us fixing our stuff. Because if we don't tell our kids who they are, the world will do it for us. So I have a mission statement at my company. Why the heck don't I have that for my kids? I have like all these things, core values in my company. Why don't I have them for my kids? Well, we created them. So there's this whole giant 6-foot canvas at our house that says, I'm a child of God. I am made for greatness. I will read God's words. I will do hard things. I will defend my mind. I will defend the weak. And it goes on and on and on. It's like a proclamation. So this is a form of communication to our kids.
That's amazing, man.
It's easy to do. I mean, it might sound overwhelming because I'm fire hosing all this, but it's like, what does it mean to be a you, a Smith, a Wilson, or whatever? What does it mean? What do you want to aim at? You're not proclaiming that you have it all figured out and you're perfect. What are your core values? Core values, people struggle creating them for their family because they feel like they don't live up to them right now. So they're not allowed to say what they should be. So you might say honor, wealth or whatever. They have these things that like define their family, but like, well, I haven't been totally honest and I'm kind of broke. And no, make them anyway, because core values are aspirational. They're like a future-based thing. They're like what you're walking towards imperfectly.
It helps you make decisions.
Big time.
Like if you look at something, you're like, okay, this doesn't really fall in line with my core values. I shouldn't do this.
Yeah. Or maybe you do. Like none of this has to be perfect. It's just, it gives you something to aim at, and it gives your kids something to reassure that they are not a cosmic accident. They're made on purpose for a purpose, and this is what it means to be them. That they can do anything that they want. You're going to clap and cheer for them while they try. And bringing them into the business is important too, because they know all the bad parts too. Like we lost this client, we did this thing. My current business, we put millions of dollars into it, and we're excited. We're all in on it. Maybe it doesn't work. They know those thoughts that I have, like, oh my gosh, this is, right? They're in it, right? But they're watching it, the imperfection of it all as it's happening.
Do they ask you a lot of questions like, what are you going to do if this doesn't work? Like those kinds of, you know what I mean?
We talk about all of the things. There's nothing off limits.
Right.
We also tell our kids things before every other kid learns any of the things, whether it's sex or pornography or drugs, or they know everything way before everybody else. Why not? Why wouldn't they? Do I want them to learn from their 9-year-old friend at school, how babies are made? No, I start early. We talk about it.
What age do you have? I know
we have from 6
3 boys,
to 17. 3 older boys, 2 younger girls.
So, I mean, I haven't had that conversation with my daughter yet. I wouldn't know how to have that conversation with my daughter.
Oh, it's so easy. I can give you what we do.
I would love to. You can give it to me later or now, whatever.
Take your daughter on a daddy-daughter date and ask her a question. Say something like, how are ducks made? And then she'll have an answer. Be like, interesting. How are cats made? How are dogs made? How is an apple tree made? One of my favorite quotes is, you can count the number of apples on a tree, but you can't count the number of apples in a seed. But that's a side thing. It's so epic. But anyway, everything, life and death, has to do with seeds, right? Reaping and sowing. Like your success in business with your service companies, how well they're doing. And like every time you do an interview like this, you're planting a seed.
Right.
Right. Humans are made also with seeds.
Right.
And so that's the frame. And then it's like, okay, where are the human seeds? Where are they at? Where do you plant the seed, right? And then that opens up the awkward part of the conversation. So I have my boys, I'm like, where do you think the seeds? I tell them the boys are the ones that have the seeds. The girls are the garden where they're planted. And it kind of gives them an overthink, right? Where are the seeds? They're like, I don't know, my chest. I'm like, nope, keep guessing. Then I tell them the seeds are in your balls. It's like this hilarious, fun conversation, right? Ew, oh my God. It's like, yeah, that's what those are for. Did you know that? You got tons of seeds in there. And they're like, whoa. And then they naturally are like, wait a second. How do I plant the seed? And then we talk about it. There's nothing weird about it.
No.
And let kids respond to how weird you feel about it. If you act like it's no big deal, they are
Right.
so open, right?
It's a very interesting thing. God, man, I feel like an idiot that I haven't done it yet. You know, I mean, like for us, we have what's called like a safe space, you know,
Yeah.
in our home.
Okay.
Like, hey, sit down here. Anything that you say at any time here is like a safe space because we want her to feel open. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great.
But I've never thought about like coming to her with those kind of questions. So thanks for the perspective.
Ask your kid why she thinks she exists.
Damn.
You don't have to have the answer. Just ask her. Why did God make you? That's weird. You exist, right? You're real. Hold on. Let me tickle your armpit. Oh, yep, you're real. Why do you exist? Isn't that weird? Why do I exist? Where are we right now? Things like this, because the purpose of childhood is to prepare for adulthood. And I think in Western culture, we're just lengthening childhood. And parents have a pressure to give lots of fun experiences and lengthen childhood rather than prepare for adulthood. I don't even like the phrase being a good dad, personally. I like the phrase an effective father. Like, what is your role? What's the success criteria for you doing it?
Yeah, you're not there to be their friend. You're there to...
It's not that you can't be friendly.
Right,
But like, yeah, what's the success criteria? And like, if you reverse engineer that, just like you would a revenue goal for your business, like what needs to happen right now and between how many weeks you have left until she's 18 for you to have given yourself the best chance to have been an effective father for her? It's a huge question, right?
Yeah.
But this is how I think about these things.
Man, yeah, I mean, you break down a lot. I've never asked myself that question.
Why do you
with you.
exist?
I don't know.
Do you think you're a cosmic accident because some lightning struck some cosmic goo and an amoeba crawled out and became a fish and then now you exist?
See, I think everything
You
happens
could be
for...
right. Is that what you think?
I think everything happens for a reason, and I'm here for a reason, but I also believe that I got lucky simply just by being born.
What's your definition of luck?
I mean, I forgot the numbers or the statistics, but the chance of you actually being born.
Oh, like a human in general existing?
Yes.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's like unbelievable, right? So
Yeah, because I'm a nerd with some of this stuff, but I think there's 52 different proteins that have to be linked in an exact order, meaning if the seventh protein is out of line, life can't exist. That's just the base for an amino acid, or maybe it's 52 amino acids that create a protein. I get them twisted. The point is like that combination existing is like 1 to the 52 billionth power or some crazy thing. So it's clear logically that you're not a cosmic accident, in my opinion. It's just obvious. But the question becomes, what do you do about it? Like, what's your purpose? Do you have a purpose? Do people just make it up to make themselves feel better?
So then what do you ask yourself about, like, man, we could dive so deep into this. Because then there's people that are like, well, I'm saying then you have like people that are like hurting traumatically, homeless, all of those other things. And it's like, what's the purpose of somebody that's being homeless? You know what I mean? Is it a lesson to teach somebody else? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
And like
Why
I
do little
said,
baby deer get hit by semi-trucks, right? Semi-trucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. Baby deer are awesome. That's valid, but let's put that conversation here, because what you do is you go too wide too quick. First, it's like, what is your purpose? If that's the first question, like one way to kind of work this out that's helpful is you create a Venn diagram, where you have like 3 circles and they overlap in the middle, and the kind of that overlap part is kind of the clue.
Right.
So like if the first circle, the question I would ask you or anybody is, what gives you goosebumps when you're doing it? What puts you in flow state? You can use different words to describe it, but you see, as a Christian, I would call that the anointing. Like, you literally have giftings, okay? And it could be doing a podcast. You might literally get goosebumps when you do this because you're a connector. I don't know. It might be when you're selling. It might be when you're doing something with your family or speaking from stage. Maybe you're destined to be an author. I don't know. But there's certain things that when you do it, you're like, time elapses and you don't even know that 3 hours went by. What is that for you? And it could be multiple things. That's box number 1. The second box is, what are your insatiable curiosities? Like, we have t-shirts at our company that say nerd mode on them. So I'm a nerd about things that tons of people don't care about at all. And so are you. And so is your 7-year-old, by the way. There's things that are fascinating to us. So this second box, insatiable curiosities, maybe a better word is fascinations. Like I could read a book about a blade of grass for 45 minutes and just be like completely consumed by it, right? It's like the cell structure and the chlorophyll and the thing. It's unbelievable. And the root system, like bamboo, for example, it takes 3 to 5 years for bamboo to even grow at all because it develops a root system. Then it grows 3 feet per day. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Why do I know that? Because it's an insatiable curiosity for me. So make a list of those things. So you have flow state, goosebumpy things. Then you have that. And then the third category is your skills/talents. Like, what are you good at without trying? This is the hardest one for people because we don't recognize our own talents and abilities very good. We think that we kind of suck. That's why you ask other people, what am I really good at? What seems to come easy for me that's harder for other people? Ask your wife, ask people that are close to you. And like, in terms of finding your purpose or whatever, this will get you in the neighborhood, right? Because where these things overlap is like so powerful,
Man, the entire time I'm like literally like.
You want to write it out?
Oh, yeah,
like,
dude. I swear to God, I almost stopped you and went to go get a paper and started doing this.
We can do that.
Definitely, I'll practice it when we're done, man. I've never thought about that, and like. There are definitely things that I get goosebumps when I do. And I'm sure a lot of other people, it's just, you don't think about it in the moment,
right?
And capturing that feeling and simply just asking yourself why you're getting that feeling. Like,
yeah. And this is why this is a big deal. Okay. So let's say you have a placeholder purpose. You don't know for sure. You're like, I think maybe it's this, but I don't know. Just having it is a humongous competitive advantage for your family and for your bank account, period. Because what do? Like you look at someone like Tommy Mello, okay? I've known Tommy. I first met him when he was doing like 25, 30 million a year. I don't even know what they're doing, 200, 300 million
over
a year.
200, yeah.
So he'll be a billionaire within 2 years, okay? He's a maniac. Great guy too. Tommy is driven by something way bigger than him making money, right? So like when you have a purpose, it's this object you're aimed at that is so big, okay, that the possibilities grow. Like your sense of urgency changes.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to really do this before I'm dead, I got to think different. I have to solve problems different. There's a great book Ashley just read. I haven't read it yet, called 10X is Better Than 2X by Benjamin Hardy. It's this idea that business is easier in terms of growing quicker if you try to think 10 times bigger instead of 2 times bigger. Because if you're trying to make, 300 grand in personal income instead of 200 grand, that's incremental. So
right.
what typically people will do is more of what they're already doing. Add an 8th day to the week, right? Work 60 hours instead of 50 hours. But when you say, how do I make 2 million in personal income instead of 200,000 in personal income? Everything about how you approach it changes.
Yeah.
And so when you have a purpose, it kind of reframes the furniture in your head. And you're like, oh my God, like this business, like my cleaning business, that wasn't my purpose. It was my training wheels business. And that's okay. Like people are like, if your business is so great, why'd you sell it? Well, first of all, it wasn't that great. Second of all, the thing I'm trying to do requires way more leverage, right? And I need to do something that's more in alignment with my skills and abilities. So I get into software, get into coaching, these other things. Doesn't mean everybody else should do it. But my point is having a purpose is an advantage. You're going to go faster, think bigger. You're going to have more certainty in it, right? And just like you have a unique fingerprint, that Venn diagram is going to be unique to you too.
Right.
And no one can compete with you inside of that space because they're not you with your talent stack and your experiences. Like, it's completely unique to you.
Yeah. Man, it's so powerful. I just never saw it that way, I guess. Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty epic.
So you brought up Conquer, and you brought up the coaching thing. Do you think that was your purpose at the time? And do you think your purpose changes? Like, how did you get into Conquer? What was it? Just some random idea that popped in?
Well, it was actually a very logical progression. When I had my local service business, it wasn't gigantic, but back then it sort of was in the little niche of window cleaners, because that was a window cleaning business, which is a really hard business. Like definitely do pressure cleaning and all the things that he says to do. But it can work. We got it to almost 200,000 a month and it was automated. So I worked like 0 to 5 hours a week. Wow. Had a great team, didn't make me $1 bajillion. It was a good business. And it was seasonal too. So we didn't always do that much. But having accomplished that, what happened was a lot of window cleaners started calling my offices and wanting to talk to me. And I was happy to do that. And this is how it always starts, right? There's a lot of people watching this right now. People are picking their brain all the time. It starts with brain picking. You probably have people pick your brain all the time.
I do.
So what happens is it's flattering at first, Then you'll get frustrated eventually because you'll give very clear directional advice. Do this and this and this. Call me next Tuesday after it's done. And they don't do it. And eventually it gets annoying. And then your wife is like, why are you in the garage standing outside talking to freaking Larry again, right? And you're like, well, I'm just trying to help him out. And it's fun. It's flattering that Larry thinks I'm cool and wants to talk to me, right? So then after that phase, I'm like, I'm going to charge him something. Then I'll talk to the people that pay at least to protect my time.
Right.
Did that, made like $40,000. This is like almost 15 years ago. Well, I guess it was 2012-ish. I sold a $150 little thumb drive that had a bunch of systems and some training on it. And then I'd do a phone call with them too, right? And I noticed that those people I did those phone calls with got disproportionately better outcomes because they paid something, they did something.
Right.
It wasn't just talking shop with the boys, you know? So then when we moved to Costa Rica, I decided to make a $1,200 course. And this is back in like 2015, okay? I don't think the world needs another course right now. But in 2015 in the cleaning industry, it was a weird thing.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, if they'll pay $150 and get a bigger result, if they pay $1,200, maybe they'll get a bigger result. Did that, sold tons of them, like way more than I ever would have thought. My phone was dinging every day. Daddy, why is your phone dinging? It's like, made $1,200, made $1,200. And we're talking millions of dollars worth of stuff.
Holy shit.
And then we're getting letters in the mail. My wife is here. She can attest to it. She'll get emotional because we actually really care about Larry, the guy that like doesn't have $1,200. He pays it. It hurts. It makes him want to throw up. Then he does what it says to do and he changes his business. Right. But there's still like over half of the people that would buy that weren't doing it.
Right.
Which is amazing.
Really quickly, where were you financially when you started that? Like, were you already, because you had sold your window cleaning business, you moved to Costa Rica. I'm assuming you were like good.
We weren't that good because the software company I started cost $1 bajillion.
Right.
And it made no money. Okay. It was like a nightmare actually. So we had money, especially for us being poor pizza delivery driver, trailer park people when we got married, but it was running out and this course was really helping. But it was a way to scale the expertise I had on the service business, but I was pouring all that money into the software. So, but what happened was after the course, it was like, let's do an event at our house. Even more people got a result. And the Conquer was birthed out of this logical progression. It's like helping people for free is good, but it doesn't help Larry. It doesn't help him that it's free. And then if he buys a course, that helps him more, but it's still not enough. And then it's like getting together in person and locking arms, really powerful. And then Conquer, the whole idea was like, let's get together every week in small accountability groups and walk up the mountain together. It's a very powerful idea. Yeah. And that was how it birthed. I didn't know it would become as big as it is. We didn't know that we'd sell it to House Call Pro and all that. So, you know, you can't see the whole story when you're in it. You know, the Bible says that God's word is a lamp unto your feet. And basically what that means to me is you can see like 10 feet around you at any given time. That's it. It's like a video game where the map is blocked, but you have a little ring around your character. Yep. The only way you can see more of the map is by moving. It's by doing super scary stuff that freaks you out and makes you want to puke, right? So you jump off the cliff and build the plane on the way down, but you got to move. You know, you start a podcast and then you learn more information and there's more benefits. And you're like, how could I use that? Well, you couldn't even have thought that thought if you hadn't started it in the first place, right? And so by getting into software, moving out of the country, consulting over 1,000 people, I've learned more from helping other people than I even did running my own service company at this point. And it just starts to stack.
It's crazy, man. I mean, so you started and it was all over Zoom, right? In the beginning or when you guys phone. Started? Or
it was even pre-Zoom. This goes back.
Did Zoom? Yeah,
we'd use those phones where you go.
No, stop.
No, I'm just kidding. But I'm old enough to remember corded phones. You know, you have a 25-foot long cord and you go shut your bedroom door on it and sit there and talk to your friend from middle school. It was phone calls and Zoom. Then it was live events, you know, then it was a formal structured program. And the industry's so different now, though. Like, you know how many 25-year-olds have multi-million-dollar businesses now? A
ton.
It's insane.
20-year-olds.
That was not a thing back then, hardly at all. But, you know, YouTube University, I think the biggest thing is belief is scaled.
Yeah.
Belief is scaled. So, like, when you see a 26-year-old When you finally have the epiphany that there are a lot of people dumber than you that already have what you want, you'll go faster. Like once you realize that guy's an idiot and he's way ahead of me, it like gives you permission. I don't think people even a lot of times need the information. They need permission.
Yeah. In belief of the possibility.
Yeah.
Like I remember being younger, going to like the beach and looking at those beach houses, and it's like, man, like
It feels impossible.
it feels impossible. Yeah. And it's like, it's just some other dude or woman that just decided to try and start something.
The really frustrating part
worked.
is a lot of these dudes and women are painfully average.
Yeah.
At everything except that one thing. They think more of themselves. They have an abnormal level of certainty and confidence, and they just did it.
Yeah.
They just did the stuff.
When people ask me about business, and I'd love to hear your advice on this, they're like, well, I don't know like what to do or where to start. I just say, just start. Yeah. Because whatever you're doing or whatever you start doing is most likely not going to be what you end up doing.
That's commonly true.
You know?
But it's like the map thing. It's like you're not allowed to know step 4 until you do step 1.
Right.
Like, how dare you? Why do you think you get to skip ahead? Like, you have to go through a logical progression of like doing hard things, leveling up your identity. It really comes down to 3 things to me. It's your mindsets, your skill sets, and your network. How do you build those unless you're doing it? You can't. Like, you can read a book. I think this is one of the reasons professors at the academic level despise entrepreneurs. I mean, despise. Not all of them, but many of them. Because they falsely believe that them memorizing information in their head somehow creates the same amount of value as Elon Musk. They think because they know theoretical things, that's the same as someone going and doing things. So like you can read all the personal development books you want. You can pack in the head knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's basically worthless if you don't couple it with action that scares you.
Yep.
But by doing it and learning as you go, and by the way, the best way to learn is to do, the mindsets, the skill sets, and ultimately your network and the people you meet along the way while you're scraping your knee, that's the whole game.
See, so for some of the listeners, what would your recommendation be to start building a network? Like building a network of people that are going to start helping you elevate your life and get to the next step, you know?
Be friendly. This is advice from my wife, okay, Chief Unicorn over here at the Unicorn Squad. She says the best way to make friends is to be friendly. So be friendly. Practical tip wise, stop asking people for stuff. Like you don't deserve their time. Stop asking to pick people's brain, et cetera, et cetera. Pay to get in a room and then be friendly. Follow up, be organized. It's actually shocking to me how many local business owners don't have like an actual Dream 100 list and just go do joint venture marketing with other non-competing business owners. Everyone has the same problem. We need more leads and profit. And then you're literally all paying money to market to go get the same customer at 123 Main Street. And it's insane. A little bit of leadership, being the leader of the little network can make you millions. You only need like one good relationship that can be worth hundreds of thousands. We had a guy at my cleaning company, one guy, his name was LL Davis. Okay. I'll probably never see him again. So I'll just throw it out there. He was a great guy, but that one guy led to millions through General Motors. We're cleaning windows for GM because we knew one guy. And that was a shout out to Chris Phillips, who's my business partner. Chris would go out and meet people. He called it the donut dance. He would go to property managers and realtors and he'd take, Panera bread bagels, or he'd take donuts literally and just like, hey, I'm Chris. How's it going? Here's some free breakfast. Hey, can I ask you a question? Right. He'd do that stuff. This is a basic thing, but people like to play in the internet and buy another course and look for like the super secret backdoor thing.
Yeah.
Just do that. It's impossible that this doesn't work over a big enough time horizon. It's literally it's unreasonable that it doesn't work.
Right. And if you try it long enough,
it's not even trying it. Like that's a
I'm saying if you
too.
But if you do it long enough,
I know what you mean.
It's like I don't have some kind of metaphor or anything, but if you're consistent enough, eventually it's a numbers game, right? And it's like sales. Imagine you're making cold calls or whatever, and you might make 50 calls in a day, and they all say no, but that 51st might say yes.
Right.
So it's like the same thing.
And the second cohort of 50 calls that you do, like the second batch. Are you going to be worse at it than you were for the first 50?
You're going to be better.
It's unreasonable that you're not better. It's impossible to be worse after doing more reps, right? Yep. So your results start to compound over time. If there's like a graph, like a regular graph, and you have results at the top, and you have effort at the top, and results at the bottom. You basically have your effort is high, your results are low. And over time, they start to converge and then they split like this, right? And so your results are going to go up and they'll become effortless with mastery. And your effort will go down. How long does that take? It depends. I don't know. But it's impossible that it doesn't happen if you don't stop.
Man. God, you were hitting me with some like just crazy bangers right now. I know. I'm just mind blown. You know, it's just like you feel almost like you know everything. And I will admit, I know that I don't know everything, you know, but it's just being able to hear different perspectives consistently and being able to resonate with those things. It's just so powerful. So let me ask you a question. Where are you headed now? Like where is the Latimer family headed now? What's the new venture?
My life's mission is to give away $100 million to widows, to orphans, and to a very specific type of Christian missionary, which we don't have time to get into, but I call them bug eaters. So I'm going to fund like the kingdom stuff and widows and orphans. For me personally, I think it'd be really almost funny to end my life in the trailer park on purpose, because you can't take it with you. And I don't know if my wife's that happy about it. We're talking about it, but maybe we have a super
Do you
nice
agree
trailer.
With this?
I want to be like, I feel like I was put here to be radically generous. Like when we were poor, I was generous. I can't not be generous. When I was 12 years old, I felt like God told me to give my money away and I was excited to do it. So I have to make a whole bunch to be able to do that. I have to at least have $100,001 to be able to do it, right? So all these companies I've had, they're good, they're big. You know, we've done 20 million on the internet in revenue, but to have 100 million to give away is a different thing. So our new company, War Plan, the business model of it's very, very peculiar and different. And I think it can scale really, really big. And we're going to find out together, right? And if it does or if it doesn't change where I'm aiming.
Right.
The modality could get swapped out. But I'm 2 years in, spent almost a couple $1,000,000 on, it's a combination of software and education that helps local business owners start their own coaching business. Because I think the world needs less gurus. And really what I'm going all in on is similar to what Alex Hormozi has recently announced with his investment in School. Have you seen that?
I have not.
So he made a huge investment in this platform called School, SKOOL. And the idea is like everyone can monetize their expertise. And I think that's where we're at. And it was validation for me to see Hormozi talking about that because I've already been planning this for 2 years. More and more people want to monetize their own expertise. I don't think we need another Grant Cardone. We don't need these mega influencers. We need these little pockets and cohorts of community locking arms together, right? And that's what we're doing. So that's what's next for us.
So how does that work? Because I'm a little confused, to be honest with you, because you said we don't need more gurus.
Right.
But then the business is creating more gurus?
It's
or no? Am I just misunderstood?
It's supposed to be confusing on purpose. So because you charge people for your expertise doesn't mean that you're claiming that you're a guru.
Right.
Okay. Even with something like Conquer has changed a lot of lives. It's been great. But let me ask you, is it better for Larry, the average guy who's trying to figure it out, to be customer 791 inside of Grant Cardone's giant course thing or inside of a big thing like Conquer? Is it better for Larry to do that? Or would it be better for Larry to pay someone who's 2 chapters ahead of him and do it in a group of 8 people? Like, what's better for Larry?
Oh, absolutely.
And see, coupled with this is the fact that service companies are just hard. Like, you can break free and make a ton of money. When Tommy's here, the guy makes money, okay?
Yeah.
But he represents like 1% of the population.
Right.
He just does. It is what it is. Everybody else is trying to make 150 grand a year and not work 47 hours a day, right? So one of the ways they can make more money is by helping the Larrys that are 2 chapters behind them. They're not claiming to be a guru. But they are 2 chapters ahead. It's accountability and it's structured. And there is money being exchanged because it's important that Larry pays for the reasons we discussed earlier, right? It's good for Larry that he pays. But rather than saying, I'm Josh Latimer, give me money, I'm really smart, I'm a guru, it's the old model. See, what's happening right now is everything's being decentralized. And so I'm going all in on what I call decentralized coaching. Like, if you think about it, Airbnb is decentralized hotels. Uber is decentralized taxis. Very corrupt industry. If you understand how taxi medallions work in big cities, a very mafioso, whole crazy thing.
Very little.
But YouTube is decentralized broadcasting. There used to be ABC, NBC, CBS.
Right.
Now there's YouTube. There's 11-year-olds with 10 million subscribers making $1 million a month.
It's fucking crazy.
So, and there's more examples. Courses, programs is decentralized university. So this is a macroeconomic trend. Crypto is decentralized money, right? Coaching is going to fit into that too. And just because you have a small company doing 300,000 or 400,000, you can provide huge value to someone who just started or is doing 100,000. And it's better for the end person, Larry, to be partnered with someone like you because you don't think you're a guru. You see, what's happening is all the narcissists are the ones being noisy on Instagram,
Yes.
selling courses. And the good people that have a teacher's heart who actually really give a crap about Larry, they're way too freaked out to ever position themselves as a guru, so they won't do it. We're trying to solve that problem.
So how would somebody that is not claiming to be a guru, but they do want to help those people that are, 2 chapters behind them, how would they market themselves without being noisy? Because I feel I've joined a lot of masterminds. I've paid a lot of money to be in different rooms,
Good for you.
And it's like,
It's awesome.
I really wouldn't have known who those people were had they not been noisy. You know what I mean? Like it almost sucks. If I drive to dinner, okay, with my wife, and we pull up and some guy jumps out of a Ferrari, the very first thing that comes to my mind is, what does that guy do?
Yeah.
Whether that's like a shallow mindset, whatever, it's okay. That's the truth.
It's the first thing men ask each other when they're in a social setting.
And so,
right?
But it's like that noise, right? That noise that you create by being this social media influencer or whatever it is. So it's like, or having the Rolexes and the Ferraris and all that stuff. So how does the smaller guy market himself if he does specialize in something and can add value?
But here's the craziest part. Maybe what you're not seeing yet is that feeling of the 20-year-old douchebag life coach on Instagram with his McLaren. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the gross old way. Okay. So if you do want to monetize your expertise and you go on the internet and act like that, it isn't going to work.
Right.
That ship sailed for most people. The competitive advantage is in the fact that the person who's helping you isn't that guy. He's simply 2 chapters ahead, and you guys are going to work together, hold each other accountable. You're going to work on solving the profit problem first. I think the whole value proposition is let's make fun of and reject the guru culture as a category, and let's work on it together. Because I personally don't think any coach in the world has ever even made someone successful. I think it's impossible. Coaches only help people go faster.
Right.
Right. So is it reasonable that you go faster alone or with like-minded people that actually care about you in any setting? Right. So it's not about teaching them how to fill up their coaching program by doing that. They're not trying to make $1 million a month. They're trying to make 10,000 a month and help a dozen people. Half of them are local to them. Everybody already knows relationships with people that are behind them. They just don't have a structured kind of platform to deliver a program in, and that's what we've created. That's how we're going to help solve that problem. And whether they do it with us or not, I view this as a trend that isn't going to stop. And people are going to just start helping each other, and it's going to be big. It's going to be good for Larry, the little guy.
See, that was my next question is where do you see it going for the foreseeable future, right? Because you're saying now, the whole old way of figuring out how to monetize yourself through social media. Mm-hmm. I mean, I hate those guys. It's like, this is how I, sit on a car with a $1 million check or whatever.
We made a video one time where my wife was sitting in the hood of our $10,000 minivan. It was one of the most favorite videos because we were making fun of it back then, right? Where it's going, I'll tell you where it's going. There's going to be more opportunities than ever before in human history, but they're going to be smaller. Not smaller like tiny, but there's going to be less billion-dollar ideas, and there's going to be hundreds of thousands of make $1 million a year ideas. This is what's happening, okay? There's companies, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, has a little text thread with a bunch of other billion-dollar founders, and they have a bet with each other on when the first one employee billion-dollar valuation company will happen. You see, what's happening with technology and just with the economics as a whole, the way that I see it at least, is there's so much opportunity, it's overwhelming. You get opportunity fatigue, okay? But you have people we have friends named Stephen and Chelsea. They help moms make money on Amazon. That's what they do, and they're really good at it. They do $2 million a month with their business helping moms
Shit.
make money on Amazon. They're the best in the world. You should, if you're a mom and want to make money, go give them. They're trustworthy. They're good. They have thousands of case studies.
How does somebody find
It's
them?
called the Rainmaker family, Stephen and Chelsea Diaz. But you see, what's happening is that mom who pays some money so that she pays attention and then does what they say, and she's making $7,000 a month from her Amazon business. That's one of those hundreds of thousands of smaller opportunities I'm talking about.
Right.
And those types of things are going to be everywhere. The software itself is getting cheaper. So people can start software companies and apps for like pennies. When I built Send Gym, it cost $1 million 14 years ago. And that was just to build it wrong so that I almost went broke, right? And then it was a lot. You can build apps now for a few $1,000s. I think within the next few years, you'll be able to tell your phone, hey, make me a CRM that does this, and this, and model it after this software and this software. And for $200, it'll spit out a web app for you. Like, that's where we're going. And so what does this mean for a local business? First of all, don't get all stressed out about everything I'm saying. I'm just excited about it.
Right.
It means that there's opportunity if you can think outside the box. And maybe the only thing you do isn't just washing a house with your pressure cleaner. Maybe you do that plus help 12 people while you're doing it, and you make an extra 100,000 because that's real. And that's what's happening right now.
That's interesting. How would people find Warplan?
You can go to warplan.com.
Okay. It's literally just warplan.com.
Yeah, we're like rebuilding our website and it's a mess, but it's fine.
Is it already open? Like, is it running? And you already have coaches?
We do. We have over 40 of them. We just started 8 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, see, this is what I'm talking about. Killer in business. Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you jumping on, man. I appreciate you taking the time to come down here.
My pleasure.
I think that was just about an hour, and there was so much value inside of that. That was crazy. How can they find you? I am Josh Latimer on Instagram, right?
I don't know.
Or meet Josh Latimer?
I am horrible.
Meet Josh.
I'm horrible at Instagram. I have dozens of followers. If you search for me on Facebook, you can friend me. If you go to, is it Meet Josh Latimer?
Yeah.
Okay, it's Meet Josh Latimer.
Okay.
I have a little like team that posts stuff, and we're learning that.
Is a lot of your like old podcast content still on there? It's still on YouTube?
Not on there. Well, I did start a YouTube channel.
Okay. Is it current?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I just started it. I started about 12 months ago. Started consistently putting stuff out there. YouTube's interesting. It's a ton of work, and it's like a really slow burn trying to figure it out. But I love our YouTube stuff. We're having lots of fun. So definitely go there if you're a YouTube person. It's just my name, Joshua Latimer. And you'll see that. We have our kids in a lot of the videos. You know, we're entrepreneurial with our kids. We started businesses with our kids. Our 16-year-old kind of led the charge on the Kid War Plan, which was, we sold $1 million of these books on the internet. I don't know.
Wait, did you just say Kid War Plan?
Yeah, Kid War Plan.
What is that?
It's a journal that teaches entrepreneurial ideas to kids. But we built it with our kids to teach them how to make money on the internet and how to create value and how to invent something that makes a profit. It took like 2 years, and all of our kids were involved with it. We sold them at kidwarplan.com. It's not like a major thing we pushed, but it just blew up.
Can you still go get that?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm going to go get that.
Yeah. Yeah, she'll send you one. They're expensive. They're $100 for a journal, but they're handmade with real leather. They cost a fortune to make. Even the paper's handmade. It looks like it came out of Lord of the Rings. But we did that and sold them in all 50 states and 16 countries, and it kind of became a pain in the butt because our kids were like shipping them all out, and they're like, I don't want to do it anymore, you know? So yeah, there's just a lot you'll see on the YouTube channel, stories about that kind of stuff.
That's amazing. I'm excited to get that and talk to my daughter about it.
Yeah, we'll send you one.
Awesome.
We'll make it happen.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's awesome. Well, so if you guys didn't notice, you obviously need to go to Warplan and check that out because it just sounds absolutely amazing. Check out Josh Latimer on YouTube. I mean, this guy is so cool. I mean, dude, you are so cool. You're such an interesting person. You and your wife both. You guys are amazing people. You spread a lot of love, and you spend a lot of your time trying to help other people. It's just absolutely amazing. The world needs more people like you guys. Oh, so
you too, man.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy trip to jump on here. I really appreciate you guys. And make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you next time.